Coming up February 19th, Halifax, Nova Scotia will play host to UFC Fight Night. On that card, we will see the UFC debut of the very talented Aiemann Zahabi, who joins us on the line right now. I think Canadian mixed martial arts fans, fans of Tristar, supporters, we've been waiting for this for a long time. We've heard your name from some of the greatest fighters in the world, including your friend George St. Pierre, bigging you up. Tell us what this journey's been like for you, cutting your teeth on the grassroots scene and eventually getting signed by the world's biggest show.
It's been great so far. I started off like everyone else. I just started training, just to see, for martial arts benefits, like self-defense and confidence and stuff like that. And then when I started getting really good, I started wanting to compete. So I did like a few, maybe 4 or 5 exhibitions in MMA. I fought 3 or 4 times actual amateur MMA fights. Then I did a boxing amateur fight. Then I did a Muay Thai amateur fight. I wrestled in a bunch of wrestling tournaments. I did some grappling tournaments. I even did a karate tournament too, just to get up my experience well-rounded, in all the aspects of the game individually in their sport, and see where my strengths are and see where my weaknesses are. And when I started getting really good, I started coaching a lot of guys because I was kind of still in school and the guys wanted me to help out, so I would spend a lot of time coaching, and I was helping build Tristar Gym up as much as possible, teaching classes and things like that. Then at one point I decided, I got to make myself go pro. I love this a lot, and I really want to try to give it all my best. Give it my best shot, see how well I can do in the pros. So that's when I decided to turn pro, and I've been fighting ever since.
When you, I think if anybody knows you, knows your family as a martial arts family, how much of an influence were your brothers and their martial arts path?
Well, mostly my dad put us all in martial arts at some point in our lives. From my oldest brothers, we're 4 brothers, and he had put my 2 oldest brothers in karate when they were young. And then in Muay Thai, the Muay Thai coach that trained them in 1989 when they were kids, it's the Muay Thai trainer who teaches Muay Thai at Tristar. His name is Peter Sisamfu, the one who introduced Muay Thai to Quebec. And he's been with my family for a long time. So, we've always, been put through this from my dad just so that we can always be able to protect ourselves.
And, of course, your brother, Firas Zahabi, one of the world's most famous trainers. There's a lot of pressure on your team. I think because when you look at the size of Tristar and the success, it's an open-door policy. Anybody around the world can come to Montreal or go to Montreal, and they can work. Who is not allowed to come to your gym?
People with a bad attitude is what Firas says. You have to have a good attitude, and we'll let you in the door for sure. We don't want any negative people. We don't want people to come in and divide the team. Mm-hmm. We don't want any cancerous people. People who talk behind people's backs or are not respectful, who don't represent us properly. Those kind of people we won't take in. If you have a good attitude, you're a good person, you're more likely to be accepted.
And clearly, Tarek Saffiedine has a great attitude because at one point, Firas, the team at Tristar, training Rory to get ready for Tarek Saffiedine. So really, it doesn't matter if you've battled them in the past. It comes down to the attitude and the mindset.
Well, yeah. Our mindset is pretty open in the sense that, we're fighting in this. It's a sport for us. Our guys don't usually try to hate their opponents. We don't teach anybody to hate anybody. It's just about preparing yourself mentally. You go out there and you try to beat, your opponent. Then when it's over, there's nothing to hate the guy for. The guy's trying to win too. Everyone's trying to win. Everyone's trying to be the best. And it's nothing personal when you go in the cage.
Talk about the new technology. When I think of this new generation that we're seeing, what Cody Garbrandt was able to do, and we're seeing Yair Rodriguez and some of the younger guys, I think of Team AZ, and I think of you, and I think of Louis, and I think of Mandel. It seems very modern, what's going on with you and your guys. Where did those philosophies come from? Why are you fighting different and expressing yourself different than maybe some of the other fighters that are coming from Tristar?
Well, I feel like it's because the sport itself has evolved. If you look at the first UFCs, like UFC 1, it was style versus style. Can the Kung Fu guy beat the grappler? Can the BJJ guy beat the boxer? It was like that. Then eventually you saw guys who were like, you know what? We can't beat jiu-jitsu without knowing any jiu-jitsu. So then the best styles were jiu-jitsu plus wrestling. Then the wrestlers started taking over. Then the strikers were like, you know what? If we can learn how to sprawl and keep this fight on the feet, maybe we got a chance to beat these wrestler-grappler guys. And all of a sudden, these strikers started learning how to sprawl, and you couldn't take them down, and then it was a mess. Now the strikers started winning. And the thing is, it always evolves. MMA will always evolve. And like now you'll see like striking in MMA is pretty much the top right now. Like a lot of the strikers are in the lead, and it's because the grappling and the wrestling got up to par so far enough that the grapplers aren't as successful getting the subs. But eventually you'll see now, like with new guys coming in the sport more and more, they'll be able to be good enough at striking to still get the fight to the ground and sub the guy like a Damian Maia. I feel like more guys like Damian Maia are going to spring up because look at Ryan Hall is in the UFC now. Ryan Hall is going to start trying to take people down and sub them. He's not looking to really knock you out on the feet. He'll try if he can, but his game is to take you down and sub you. So you'll see the change throughout history, and as time goes, when people start getting good at one thing, the game will evolve, and I feel like now everybody's good at everything. Everyone's trying to train everything. Like I train boxing, I train wrestling, I train grappling, all pretty much the same, so that I can just take my opponent wherever he's weak. If he's a sick grappler, I'm going to try to knock him out. If he's a sick striker, I'm going to take him down. I'm not going to risk it. So when you see guys like Demetrius Johnson, who really, have the most well-rounded game in the UFC, he takes the fight where it needs to go.
Mm-hmm. What's interesting is we were talking to a number of weeks ago at a show in Kingston. We were talking to George St. Pierre, and he said, we think of George as this, stand-up guy that has this powerful top wrestling game. But he was telling us that he's been re-examining his karate background to try to reintroduce that if he ever decides to come back to the sport. Why do you believe that this is something that wasn't discovered before? That some of these guys that have that traditional background weren't able to utilize it where we are seeing it now?
I think it depends on case by case, but for George, he was always getting ready for a fight. So it's hard. Yeah. We don't have a lot of time in between fights because he fought pretty often, for who he was. And it's hard for in between fights to add new things or to realize old things you had that you can bring back out because you have all these trainers preparing you for this one specific guy, and they're like, okay, this would work, this wouldn't work, and you get so into the details that you don't have time to look at your overall game and see like, oh shit, maybe I should bring this back, maybe I should bring that back. So I feel like that's why it's important to give guys time in between fights. Like sometimes, like I don't know if you've seen Joe Duffy fight Dustin Poirier.
Of course.
But in that fight we realized he had a hole in his game, which was the takedown defense. He kept getting taken down and put on his back.
But normally, when Joe Duffy is taken down, he can attack, though.
Yeah, exactly. But he was taken down too easily, is what I mean.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in that fight, that was a tough fight for him. But now, if you see him in the gym, or if we wanted to show it in the Mitch Clark fight, but he finished that fight pretty early. Right. But he was wrestling for like the last 8 or 9 months after that fight. 8 or 9 months after that fight, all he did was wrestle. He brought his wrestling game up. It's something he had. He was able to throw guys. He was able to take guys down. He was able to do jiu-jitsu. He was able to do all kinds of stuff. But he got a little bit, carried away with the game planning. I feel like sometimes people get carried away with too much strategy, too much game planning, and you kind of forget all the tools you have. You can't have too much of a narrow game plan either. You can narrow your focus too much.
I think that's one of the things that has impressed me about watching you fight is it seems that like you can get very free in there and you can kind of do the things that you want to accomplish, which is, surprising at this stage of your career.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I try not to focus too hard on having to do something because, for us, the strategy is just, defend a few things that we are pretty sure the guy's going to do, and then the rest, just be free in there and do your thing. Try to implement your own game, So that's what I'm trying to do for the fight. What
do you anticipate? You've had the success on the smaller scenes. Now you're in the big show. Do you anticipate anything's going to be different? I mean, the spotlight's already on you. People are going to be pumping up your tires. I'm sure you. Do you feel the pressure of coming from the gym that you come from and having your brother being a world famous trainer? People have been anticipating your entrance into the UFC. Do you feel any pressure at all?
I love it, man. I'm so happy there's pressure. Awesome. I'd rather people expect something of me than not notice me at all. Yeah, right. So I thank everyone for putting the pressure on me, for the hype. It's great to have. It's better to be talked about and to be thought about than for no one to care about my UFC debut.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to not let anybody down. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to do my best, and I'm hopefully going to give you guys a performance to remember.
What is your best? When you think of you being on your A game and getting to be free and to showcase the years of hard work and all the travel to Thailand and to New York and all the places that you've been to acquire knowledge, what is the best version of you?
A quick finish.
Yeah. Is that really it?
15 Gs. That's what it is.
Like you look at the fight that happened.
Sorry, go ahead.
The fight that we just witnessed of Oliveira. I feel that we didn't get to see, even though the fight played out the way it was. You got the win. It was a TKO. I feel that we didn't get to see just what you're capable of. Yeah,
that fight was a little bit different, though. Yeah. I hit him with a punch and then his ACL tore. Yeah. It's kind of a weird situation, but if I would have hit him with that punch and he would have been sleeping,
you would have been happy.
Like that, I would have been more happy for sure. Like, even though I think the punch is what caused the ACL tear, because what else caused it?
Right.
He was dancing around the cage the whole time anyway. So long story short, I like to finish. I like to give them a quick finish because Mike Tyson era. You knew you'd pay $100 for a pay-per-view, and you knew it was going to last 10 seconds, and you knew you'd be upset after, but it didn't matter. You're going to buy the pay-per-view next time.
Aiemann Zahabi looking for his 7th professional victory. All the action goes down February 19th, Halifax, Nova Scotia, the Scotiabank Centre. Aiemann, best of luck. You know for a fact we're going to be rooting for you, my friend.
Thank you, sir, and always a pleasure to be talking to you and the guys at Fight Network. Thank you so much.
Rock and roll, brother. Aiemann Zahabi, we're anticipating a great show from him in Halifax, Nova Scotia.